And we're live, and welcome to another edition of Life is People. Well, today's guests are, and I'm going to be very precise and clear how I say this, Via Dolorosa. Now, the first question I have to all of you really is the name. Now, for many people who don't realise that name, it's a very significant name, and it's about a very sort of dark place on this planet for certain people. So, A, where did you come up with the name? And B, I can't believe that it hasn't been taken before. So you must have been jumping over joy when you realised that name wasn't taken.
There's a couple of bands, I think it's like based in Brazil, that have got that name.
Definitely one in Mexico.
There's one in Mexico, but we're the only UK BD. But yeah, I came up with the name because when I started writing music, I started writing when I was maybe 12 years old on acoustic. And it was mainly writing from my diary, basically, and it was very dark, the songs I was writing about. And Via Dolorosa means the path of grief, the path of sorrow. But also I've got like Catholic heritage as well, so it's quite personal. But that being said, we're not a particularly religious band.
No.
We're not a Jesus clappy happy kind of band at all. But and we're not a sad band either. It's very you know, fun loving,
fun and a
stuff.
bit of anger in there as well for good measure.
You're saying VD fun?
Yeah,
BD is fun.
BD is fun for everyone.
I love spreading BD. All in your face.
I always think if you were actually doing it as a proper full-on Christian band, it's a bit like, I don't know if you were, it's like the Bill Hicks jokes about like, do you think Jesus ever wants to see a cross when he comes back? And it's kind of like, why would we call our band on the one route of his life that he doesn't want to remember? You know what I mean? It's kind of, but I just out of general interest, have any of you ever had the fortune enough to been over actually do the route?
Have I ever what? Sorry.
Have you ever had the fortune to go to Jerusalem and actually?
You're on air with a dinosaur. That's fantastic. Well
Sorry about that.
Hey, it's going professional already.
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
No, I was just saying, have you ever had the fortune to go to Jerusalem and actually walk the route?
No, I don't know if you.
No, never.
No, unfortunately not. I'd love to. My family have, but no, I'd love to do it. Yeah.
Well, I just got to say from reflection, I did it when I was a child, but it's a bit like kind of feeling like the first time you go to London, like, oh, it's going to be so pretty and romantic, and you go there and it's like, oh, it's just full of tourists and everyone just walking over it.
Yeah.
But the worst thing about that street is you do get all these Christian tourists all dragging their crucifix along, and you just can't have this irony of like, what are you doing, you know? But hey,
the full-size crucifix as well.
Oh yeah, they love to love that cross, flagellating themselves and doing the whole. It's like very bizarre. So just generally, so just give us a brief kind of overview of how you all met, because it sort of says on your little outtake, you know, born out of the West Midlands and stuff like that. So what kind of brought you together then?
Well, I met Chris quite some time.
Yeah,
The drunken wedding is the short answer.
Yeah, I think.
Well, I met you at the drunken wedding. I met Chris
at the drunken wedding.
No, I met you prior to that.
Oh yeah.
Chris was in a band called No Remedy and was a drummer, and I met him at a gig and went, "You're amazing," and you're like, "Oh, bloody groupie," and dismissed me. But then we became really good friends. We started jamming, and then I met Denny at a wedding. And the first thing I said to you was like, "You look like Dave Grohl." And we became good friends.
I was in the same band as Chris. You apparently didn't notice me then.
No, not really.
Fair enough.
I outshone, you know. What can you do?
And Liam came aboard a little bit later. Unfortunately, he's not here today.
Yeah, unfortunately, Liam's not here. But I've been friends with Liam for many years. We've been talking about doing a musical project for a long time. And I was like, Liam, how do you fancy playing some guitar for us? And he's traditionally a bassist, and he was like, I'll give it a go. So we did that for a couple of years with Liam on guitar and Denny on bass. And we took a little break. You saw the little one come through a bit early. We took a little hiatus to concentrate on being dad. Denny's had a little one as well, so we thought, we'll just park it for a little bit, do the dad thing for a bit, and then we're back on it. And we had a slight change around with Denny and Liam. So Denny's now solid guitar, and Liam's dropped back onto his main instrument, onto the bass. So
and it works so much better this way around.
It's really cool.
So what's again the other side of this? What's the story behind the? You talk about the industrial grimlands, and what is there a particular story behind all that, or?
I wish there was. We have to make one up, I reckon. Northampton. We're based in Northampton now. Most of us aren't actually from Northampton originally, but you are. I said no. You know, 3/4 of us aren't from Northampton, and you decided you'd move away from Northampton. So, but Northampton's got a tradition or a history of being like the shoe manufacturing centre of probably the universe.
Kind of Dr. Martens, and things like that.
And yeah, it's not quite as big as it was, but yeah, there's that was the industry. So we thought we'd
which really is going back to a lot of British kind of, for want of a better word, rock roots. I mean, it's where Aussie, mate, all that kind of stuff started kind of in the Midlands anyway.
Yeah.
Now, my question to you now is, dude, I'm always fascinated because I'm an old school, back in the day, new wave metal boy. I mean, I'm that old. I can't remember it all first time round, and I'm always fascinated now that bands are doing the same path that you're doing. What kind of scenes out there for this, man? I mean, because it's kind of, to me, is just as an outsider, it kind of like it all seemed to die off at the 2000s, and everybody went into this indie pop shit, and now it seems, and now I seem to see this resurrection. I mean, I've spoken to Riff Raff before. You sort of see this. So, I mean, what's your reflection from a band playing live? Do you think there's a growing scene of kind of hard to rock music, or do you think it's just a very kind of small collective that it's just you're all focused and around each other?
I think rock's always had a hiatus within the music industry, whether or not it's going to be mainstream charting or underground. And I think it's always going to have a place, and it's always going to have a demographic. It's always going to have a market. And I don't think when you look at the charts, it's saturated by like EDM and rock, like hip hop. Not particularly rock, maybe a little bit like Raw Bloods and Biffies there, but it's not a lot of rock in the charts. But I can see it slowly, that's not where we're heading really. We're not looking for mainstream. We're looking just to, do a lot of gigs, and that's where it's at. I think, the live music scene's thriving, especially for rock and roll. And that's where a lot of the money is. We're not seeing much of it at the moment, but one day we will. I think there's always going to be a place for rock, definitely. It's never going to die. It's kind of the supplementary question to this. I mean, what made you go into this sort of style of music then? Because, like you said, there was many other options. So, what made you sort of think this is the greatest? This is a form we want to express what we're saying. I think rock's got a real, compared to most other genres, rock's got the most motion behind it, and it's more. You can do more with rock because rock's such a big platform. You've got so many subgenres of rock, and you can use so many different emotions, from like love to hate to anguish to sexual desire, to comedy to so it's a really big platform for us. But we've grew up listening to rock.
I think you always draw on your influences. I was moshing away in the late 90s, early 2000s. I've never really got away from new metal and that kind of thing as well. But I think can't help myself, I love it. But I think the reason that I'm doing, or why I've tried to put the style of drums I'm putting on it, is because it's what I really enjoy to do. So we go out for a gig and we love doing it. We're not necessarily out there to make mega bucks, all the rest of it. We just want to play it because you've got an awesome message to deliver, and I absolutely love playing on my little drums, and it's just wicked being up on stage and sort of influencing these people, and the buzz you get back from the crowd is unbelievable. Really cool.
Completely, my friend. And I mean, it's sort of, I've always sort of related this to. I've always said, and it's interesting you mentioned what you do, because I've lived in South America for a few years, and down there it was just, I mean, I left living in England in the 90s, and everybody was on this Oasis, Blur, whoopie 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 whoop, and I went down to I went down to like Argentina, and it was just massive there. You know, you'd see bands like who would nothing in the UK would just come down and do huge gigs down in South America. So I think it's a huge thing, and I think it's interesting that you tapped into. I always think it's, when it comes to a certain part of where we are in the world, people go crying to this stuff, because I don't care. I think this is the most real music on the planet. I mean, I'm not one of these people, you know, just only likes one style, but I think there's a certain point in society when people are like, can we have something real? And can we have something that actually speaks to our reflection, rather than just telling us about how great life is, or how, you know, all the rest of it. So you mentioned what, Hayley, what would you say is your kind of overriding theme or message when you want to get across to people?
Well, it's a very kind of feminist, power-driven kind of stuff. It's not like man-hating in any sense, because we've always got that like stigma that, you know, we hate men. I work with guys. I love boys.
Hello.
But there's still an issue with inequality between male and female, and in jobs, in social experiences. You know, even walking down the street, you'll get harassed and things like that. And it's just putting out a message like that, and helping people understand what it's all about. But it's not all feminist. There's a lot of comedy in there as well. But it's something that people can relate to, and it's all drawn from my own like personal experiences, from like some really serious, horrible experiences that I've had, to really funny kind of obscure stuff that I've observed. But it's just making light of things, but making a point, and making people think. It's not about, you know, going out and getting drunk and just, you know, party kind of music. It's got more of a message behind it.
Well, that being said, our tagline is catchy as fuck for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm interested in your reflection on this, because again, I mean, it's something we you know, Chris was saying earlier on. I mean, I've been to many gigs, you know, rock gigs, metal gigs, or whatever, a lot. And one of the things that's always frustrated me is there's been a kind of undercurrent of females there, but there was never any in the band. I mean, I remember seeing Warlock back in the day. There you go. That's one for you kids, Warlock. But she was a, you know, the whole thing back then. If you were a female singer of a band, then it was all about, sadly enough, what you look like. You know, she had to wear these tight kind of little, you know, bikinis, and it was a bit like, oh, really? So you wouldn't want to mention it. so my reflection to you, Hayley, is you're there now. I mean, you're the one that can really speak upon this, because it is generally kind of seen as a very male culture, the rock music one. Have you found anything? Do you find people giving you, crap on stage? Do you find any amongst any of the bands? Sort of like, I mean, had you, on a very personal, because you said, you're right, female experience. I mean, give us your actual day-to-day, what it's like to be in a rock band in 2017 as a female, and be honest. There
is definitely a growth in female-fronted acts. You'll see at Camden Rocks that we're playing next weekend. There's many more female bands out. So I think it's definitely in the rise, but you're right, it is very male dominated, but that's never stopped me from before. I've worked with many other bands prior to being in Via Dolorosa, working with, like, as manager and as a tour manager and things like that. And my experiences were, most people think you're a groupie, or they try and get you in their hotel, and I'm like, well, I'm just actually here to find out what you're doing with the band. I'm not trying to get in your pants. So they just assume a lot of the times, but I think we are finally getting to that stage in the music industry where there is more female presence, and it's becoming less and less, sexualized,
Yeah. So, and again, this is a just sort of generally supplementary question to what you just saying. And reflection. Which one do you prefer? Do you prefer being in the rehearsal room, the studio, or out live?
Oh, definitely out live. You get such a nerve. Yeah, I mean, 100%. Definitely. It's great to practice with these guys. You know that not one of us are divas in any sense. If they apart from him, a little bit. But if there's like something that I don't quite like that someone's doing, or they don't like something that I'm doing, we're quite happy to say that's wrong. Let's try to do it this way, and no one gets funny about it. So that's great in a sense when you're in the studio and rehearsing, so we can iron out any kind of things that we need to iron out. But on stage, it's like
we're like a proper team up on stage as well.
Yeah, it's just the whole buzz, getting the experience from the crowd, and you know, nothing can beat it.
No, that's
I think as well as that, just being on stage, we get to try and work out what Hayley's going to do next.
Yeah.
Because you never quite know.
Yeah, it's true.
But I'm sure.
Sorry,
But I'm sure. No, I was just saying. I'm sure from again, this reflection of me being in a band, and I've spoken to many bands. I'm sure second to playing live, being the rehearsal one must be the. I mean, I used to love jamming. The amount of stuff we used to get playing in jams. I mean, one of my frustrations when I was in a band, and again, be honest here. I mean, there was stuff that we used to leave in the rehearsal room. You're like, why don't we just do that live? Oh well, yeah, no, it doesn't fit into your set, and you're like, so to be honest, I mean, is the stuff you do in the rehearsal room? You think, oh, I wish we could take that out and bung that out live.
There aren't that many. Because we all started off living in Northampton, but Hayley moved down to London a couple of years ago, which means that generally speaking, it's myself, Liam, and Denny doing the majority of the musical practice. So when we're coming up with riffs and stuff, we're mostly just doing it to have a jam, sort of just resettle and mess about. But then we work really hard on the set itself to make sure we get that right for every gig we're doing. And then when Hayley does come up, we do obviously do quite a lot of practice and work really hard just to get it really tight. And then if we've got enough time, we'll then do a bit of writing as well. So there's not so much sort of ad hoc writing going on at the moment, although I think we'll get there.
The one thing with Hayley being in a different part of the country, we have to record everything.
Yep.
So at that point when you're in the practice room and you came up with a great riff and you went, I'll remember that for next time. That's not so much there, because now I've got 1,000 files on a computer that say random riff 96. So it's not lost, it's there, it just hasn't found a home yet.
Yeah. But I do a lot of writing as well, acoustically, and I send some ideas over to the boys, and again, record it, send it over to them, say, can you make them clean this up and make it pretty? And they do their thing.
Yeah, going back to something that Hayley was saying earlier, how we don't get upset when someone has a different idea. We just kind of go, okay, that sounds wicked, we'll do that. Or, okay, that doesn't quite work, what do we do instead? It has to work like that, because Hayley brings, literally, she's doing so much awesome writing on the lyrics, and it comes with the song idea. And we look at it and we're like, can't play that. how do we bash that into something we can make work? So we can't. We wouldn't have any songs if we were precious about anything.
Yeah.
So I mean, but okay, and another one I think it's fascinating for people to get an insight into, because I think not many people understand this, of the difficulties of being in a band. Because I think the whole industry of being in a band has changed. I think 20 years ago it was all about who you could kiss up, what record label you could find, how you kind of looked, and you went down that path. Now, obviously, with the whole fracturization and what's gone on with the music industry in general, like the fact that it's more downloads than it is physical copies like that. So my question to you is, I mean, what are the progressive steps you have to take now? I mean, you have to obviously go out live, and what you're hoping to do, just to go out live and play more and more and more until you get enough live following, or is it you do it to go? I mean, where do you stand now? I mean, what's if I could say to you, in a year's time, okay, look, this is what the ultimate one would be. What would it be? Would it be on you're signed to a record deal, or you've just got enough to go and tour live? I mean, what's the? I'm not being funny, but what is the point of being in a band nowadays? I mean, I'm not.
You realise we play in pubs, right?
I
go to the pub.
Yeah. Well, but people seem to think that downloading and streaming has killed the industry, and it's not the case. Vinyl's gone up 50% each year by year. It's gone down a little bit, but it's still building up. And live performance is where it's you get most of your money, especially with merchandise selling and things like that, as well as synchronization as well, which we need to tap into. You get a lot of money from not just radio play, but TV play and things like that. So that's what we know where the money is, and we know where to tap into. But yes, I'm gone into business mode.
Yeah, a little bit. Come on, this is why you're the boss.
But it's not like Chris was saying. It's not. It sounds so hippie to say this, but it's not about money. It's about a message, and it's about being a team together and putting out that message and having a good time and enjoying it, and you know, bringing out something positive.
I also think that you never, you know, as much as you might like. I was listening to Shed Loads of Music with Liam last night. You know, after everyone else we had a massive band practice yesterday, really good fun. But everyone else had gone. We were just having a couple of beers, and just listening to loads of new tunes and stuff. And realistically, I was loving it, and I was like, you know what? I'd actually just want to be at that gig watching these guys, because I think that you get so much more out of it. Like all the live performances, everything, all those little nuances of performance. You're never going to get that from a CD or from a stream or anything. It's just sometimes you just got to be there.
Yeah, it's atmospheric. Definitely.
And if I'm honest, I mean, I grew up in South London with Croydon, and I used to go to venues like the Astoria and the Mean Fiddler before they shut down. And I always said, unfortunately, they've shut down, because I always said, like, I really just that's where I want to get to. I want to play venues like that are maybe a couple of thousand people, awesome sound, awesome lighting, but not that much bigger than that. Because once you get to that level, you get the huge atmosphere. The crowd loves it. It's awesome, but it doesn't lose it for being too big. I go to festivals and stuff, and you find that it's always a wicked experience. Love it, but you don't really get that personal feel from the band as well. So I love, like, you know, my perfect size venues are sort of a couple of thousand people, and it feels personal, and yet it's kind of got the atmosphere. It's wicked.
Well, that was kind of the point I was kind of alluding to, really, because I think that's one of the differences I've kind of noticed, and I've heard many people talk to me about is, for instance, some of the best bands I ever saw actually in Leeds were in the Duchess, which was just like I say, a kind of a biggish pub. I mean, we're not talking, you know, a small little venue, and it wasn't 1,000 people. It was maybe about 800, 900 people. But the point I'm making is there seems to be over the last sort of 10 years, the whole of that level of venues seems to have collapsed. I mean, I know in Leeds now, like you said, you mentioned about the Mean Fiddler, but same in Leeds and Glasgow, these clubs are just closing down and down and down. So now you've got this, like you said, the very bottom level, which is, you know, standing up a pub and trying to get that right to the sort of venue, and that whole middle section or the lower section seems to be lost. Now, maybe I'm just giving reflection of the places I know. Please tell me what it's like now in Northampton. Give us all a bit of hope that that's still alive and kicking.
There's a fair bit going on here, and you got the Road Mender, which is a pretty similar size.
2,000.
Yeah, a couple of thousand people there. But again, Northampton's it's better known for a lot of smaller pubs. So you've got kind of one big-ish venue or middle-sized venue, and you've got shed loads of small pubs doing everything they can to make the scene work. And I can't thank those those pubs enough for all the work they put into promoting stuff and to get stuff going on, and for the promoters who do a massive amount of work as well.
And they do small festivals here as well.
Yeah,
they've got like Umbrella Fair, which is very hippie kind of festival, but it's always good fun. And then you've got beer festivals
as well. Yes, good timing this year for that.
Yeah, definitely. And then we've got Frenzy Fest today, which is like an indoor festival. It's just pretty much an all day. So yeah, it's a really good scene in Northampton.
Yeah, and I think that's actually really good to hear. And I think the other one, before we sort of leave this generally alone, I've been saying it for a long time. I think that as much as the reflections you get about how difficult it may be for bands now, I honestly think right now where we are with technology and what's about to happen, or you could argue what we're living through right now, I think the bands now who are getting this are going to be really going to reaping this in the future. And as you said, Hayley, absolutely 250 of these, and I've spoken to many creative people. Not one of them is a drive about money. Not one of the six. Oh, I know I want to do it. That's what I see dawning right now. I just see there's technology coming that's going to basically just cut the middlemen. So we can directly give to people like you, and to go through YouTube and all these people who take their cut. And I just think this is a really exciting time, and it does. It does remind me of something. It does remind me of like the new wave coming up. I do think there's we'll go back to full circle what we're saying. I think there's a general kind of thing coming up. And my question to you is, isn't it kind of reflecting, you spoke about it generally this afternoon. You talk about festivals coming up like that. I mean, give me the experience of what it's like to do a festival, because it goes back to what we were saying before we play live. I mean, how do you find, from someone who's been to festivals? I mean, I've been to many festivals, and I've always sort of thought, like, why don't they just start them at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon and finish them at 2 o'clock in the morning, rather than sit? I can't do. I mean, I remember going to one festival once to see. I remember seeing Slayer at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I was like, oh man, what were you? These guys have just got out of bed. What are they doing playing in the daylight? So, so how do you find it? How do you find the whole festival experience? I mean, it must be great, and there must be lots of positives about it. But just generally, how do you find just playing live in the afternoon when you mostly doing gigs in the evening?
Yeah, I mean, it's not really much different. We haven't done a huge amount of festivals. We've done like one in Uppingham, which was hilarious, that I've dubbed it Hot Fuzz Fest, because it's like it is like the village.
Good, wasn't it?
It was the greater good. So we went down well there. But we're a second support to headline, so it wasn't that early, so it was okay. But it was a bit surreal doing it like when the sun's out and I've got my shoes off. I'm like, way too hot.
Yeah, it was on the back of a massive trailer as well.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
And what else? We've done like Frenzy Fest a few times, which is like an all-day thing. But it really doesn't really. I think it's better in a way to go earlier, because that means you can drink later.
Yeah, there's for me, there's like a sweet spot where you got people about 8 o'clock, which is when we're playing tonight, just in case anyone's watching who can come down. But basically, this kind of sweet spot, 8 o'clock's about right, because you've got people who've been there for a while, already a bit pissed. You've got people who are just turning up, like, right, get the beers in real quick, catch up, and then you're going to have that nice atmosphere, but people aren't too tired, they're not knackered, they're still there for a party. If you go on too late, and this is the other thing about festivals, like, from a band's point of view, you would love. I love playing at any time. Doesn't really bother me, but it's the crowd as well, trying to maintain that energy until 3 o'clock in the morning. I've got a young daughter now, and it's I'll tell you what, I'll be up at 7 or half 6, whatever the weather, whatever I've been doing the night before. So trying to maintain that energy until 2 in the morning can be a bit challenging.
I think for Frenzy Fest, not Frenzy Fest, at Camden Rocks next week, we're sort of still playing this as a bit like little fans as well, because we've got bands we want to see that are on before us. Yeah. We're sort of planning who we're going to see, how to run back and get the kit, get on stage, and then get off and go and see the bands we really want to see as well. So we've got hopefully we've got best of both worlds.
Definitely.
But we'll need to be fit to really train all the venues.
And I can't thank Camden Rocks enough for giving us a pass into everywhere.
Chris McCormack, we love you.
Literally, I love playing it, but they're giving us a free pass. Yeah. We can play there and go see stuff.
Cracking. I love Cracking. Yes.
So, I'm not sure how good I'm going to be to anyone on Sunday.
Look, on a bit of another sort of like, maybe a bit left field turn here, I wanted to, and as you know, I've been posting it out and stuff. I wanted to ask you about Warplane, the video. I wanted to tell me about how how that came about. And again, my one is like from the band's perception doing that kind of thing, because I'd imagine it's just a lot of stopping and starting, and you must be getting really. I mean, everyone sees the glamorous side of it. Like, oh wow, you've done a really good video. But so again, how did it come about? And tell me the actual reflections of what it's like to be on a band doing that process of making a video.
Well, it was quite interesting, because at the time I was doing an undergrad in music management, and part of that was music video production. So I was like, 2 birds, 1 stone, bosh. So I did the storyboard, I did the directing, I did all the logistics, I got the actors in, everything. If in hindsight, it would have been lovely to get a director, but I kind of did it. I kind of did everything pretty much.
Yeah, we had such an easy job, because all we had to do was play a local venue, so we could get if you watched the video, obviously bits of it are on the tube, all the rest of it, and then you got the bits where we're actually performing as well. That was dead easy for us to do, because we were there anyway. Yeah. The only awkward bit, excuse me, was getting like the close-up shots. So we had to do a lot of like setup before the gig, pretend to play a lot, or do a lot of sort of run-throughs, and then try and get those crowd shots as well. So it was a lot. That was quite a long day. But yeah, you did shed loads of work for that video. It was wicked.
Yeah, it was good fun. I got some really odd looks dressed up in that blonde wig. I was a drag queen, but I was like, working it, bitch.
I never asked, what time of day did you do that? Was it like morning or something?
Morning through to the night, pretty much. It was the whole day. But I've got to thank Elliot Fiddy, who was acting in that. He was just awesome. He was really, really good. You know, you'd get models in and you wouldn't expect them to be, you know, just as generous and kind and hardworking as he was. So cool. big thanks to Elliot. Love you. Call me.
So obviously people can go and, you know, I'll give links when we put this out to your website and stuff like that. And you've got, you know, a few tracks out there. What's your plans generally? I mean, is your plans to sort of put an EP together? I mean, you mentioned about, you know, vinyls. I mean, it's fascinating because I know guys up in Durham who are starting the whole cassette thing, and they've you know, they've got a whole label. They've got a whole label doing the cassette thing. So my question to you is, I mean, what's the sort of, is it plans to put some material out, some more tracks out?
Yeah, we're definitely working on our set at the moment. We've got some new songs that we're really happy with, but it needs fine tuning slightly before we go into the studio. But we're definitely hard at writing. We will be going in the studio soon and recording and getting some music out there, but we haven't got a set release date yet. Until we got something recorded and we're happy with it, then we'll be able to sort of promote it and put it out. But yeah, we're definitely working on an EP. We know some really good artwork. Album art workers and graphics. Yeah, you know what they are. Yeah. Graphic designers. Yeah, I can't do it, do I? But, some graphic design. So yeah, we know some people that do really cool artwork, and we're looking at merchandise as well. But it's mainly at the moment just writing and gigging and getting our name out there as much as possible.
Yeah, if you follow us on Facebook and that, you'll see that we're always on there talking about what's coming up next. So if you're interested, have a look. We're always plugging the new gigs. We're looking at, we don't just plug our own as well. Obviously, you know, we've got lots of friends in other bands that we really you know, that have supported us, and we support them as well. And you know, it's always worth checking out what's going on, especially in the London area, because there's shed loads of really awesome gigs going on at the moment. Really
but you know, I'm so honestly, it made me such a glow of warmness when you actually mentioned the arts, you know, and what you're doing in music, because this is what I do. I mean, I've tried to be for years, just trying to. My biggest kind of inspiration in my life was Derek Riggs, the guy who did all the Maiden art covers, and then it goes back to what I was saying earlier on. It all died out, and everybody just went these kind of electronic album covers, and I've been saying to I've been trying to get that going again, personal artwork, you know, hand done stuff that you was actually part of, because to me it's all part of the scene. I used to love so many. It was one of the reasons why I love metal, because I used to love all the album covers, and I used to have posters on the wall, and I'm so glad you're saying it. So from my perspective as an artist who's doing this, please highlight who you're talking to, who does it, because I think they're an unseen heroes of the world, the artists.
Oh yeah, I think we've got a few people in mind at the moment, so we can't give out names just yet, but there's a few people on our radar that are interested in doing some artwork with us. So it's just basically auditioning them, basically.
Just put them in a pit and see.
Yeah, put them in a hat. Oh, that is fun. But we know some fabulous designers, and you know, this is art. Music is art, so it should be accompanied by beautiful work, beautiful artwork. You know. I
agree with you as well. When it comes to, you know, I still like having something in my hands. Like, it's good. It's like I use things like Spotify and YouTube to listen to stuff, but I still like to have a CD and read through the covers and actually work out what the lyrics are meant to be, not just what I think they are. That kind of thing.
but I think that's another reason why vinyl has just been such a big boom lately, because there has been a lack of kind of authenticity when you've just got something downloaded or, you know, streaming something. Not only does it flatten the WAV file, you just got the middle end, but it's also having a physical copy and being able to look through the leaves and, you know, reading for the story, and, you know, it's all the art. You know, you get a lack of that through streaming and downloading.
I agree.
I completely agree, and I think where we're at, I think just on a general one, and I think we're at a point where people are just hungry for anything that's actually been human made and human touched. And I think that's just a general, not just in music, I think it's just generally everywhere. People are looking for that. It hasn't just been produced by a machine. And I think you're absolutely right, especially with artwork, because I think one of the things, particularly with our kind of music, is so intriguing. like you said, laced up. It's the artwork, the lyrics, everything's kind of such an intrinsic thing. And I mean, like you say, back in the day, it was posters, and that used to get in vinyl. And like you say, now with downloads, you just get a file, and you don't get anything more than that. So I tell you, I'll be flying the flag for you if you're doing this. Because I think it's,
we might even do a flag. There you go.
The new Life of Agony CD does come with the flag.
Oh,
yeah,
epic.
So.
Well, yeah, I mean, this kind of thing. I'm saying it's almost like I honestly think this. I think this is where a lot of the joy went out of music, because it was, again, I sound like a right old granddaddy, but I remember back in the day buying picture discs, and I'd buy one single about 7 times because it would be like the picture disc, the vinyl, all this kind of stuff. And the whole thing's just been lost, and I think it was almost intrinsic. It was the whole thing. You grew your hair long, you raised it was like a tribal identity, and it all just got lost in this have a file for your phone. So I think it's great that you're bringing this back, because I think it's something intrinsic. I mean, I'm sitting here now looking at guys, and I have to ask you two particularly. I mean, not particularly you, Hayley, because it's better. But man, you're rocking the long hair in 2017, dude. Now, I tell you, I went for years and I had my hair down to my kneecaps. So, but to see someone rocking that, to see someone rocking that now, man, it goes back to what I'm saying. So, again, man, I mean, the question after, and it sounds like a right tarty male thing, but dude, how long have you been growing that hair, man?
A long time. I just have an intrinsic fear of hairdressers. This all over. Every so often I get really upset with it, and then I'd chop about 2 inches off and go, "Yep, that's short now."
I've been threatening to cut this for at least 4 years.
I've been saying no every time he said it.
Everybody says no.
No, don't do it.
There is a worry that we may be getting fashionable again. I've noticed quite a few younger kids, or 18, 19-year-olds, with the hair's going. It's got to that in-between stage where they've got to make that choice whether to cut it or actually go for it.
Go for it.
So there's a danger we may be.
Yeah, I don't, that's where this goes right then. Skinner.
I know what you're saying, man. You get those kind of people. They've got, and I always call it the ugly auntie haircut. It's just sort of there. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, you actually going to go. But dude, I mean, this is the thing again. I mean, hey, speaking from someone who did, like I say, I had right down to my kneecaps for years and years, and then I took it all off. And hey, it's a bit like the old Samson one. You do sort of feel like, oh, you know what I mean? And I think this, I don't know. I mean, to me, I think there's something very symbolic about the long hair. I mean, mate, again, it goes into what I was saying about Argentina. Down there, the whole men having long hair was very, very deeply symbolic. It was all about, I'm not going to go to the military. I've been through this, and it was a very deep thing. So it was. I tell you, I think it's great when I see a man.
It's difficult to headbang without hair. That's what I'm saying.
True. Yeah. This is just mainly for headbanging. It's nothing to do with the military or anything symbolic. So you can go. Well,
that's the point, man. That's exactly it. The old headbanging thing, man. You can't headbang with short hair, man. No. Trust me.
And that's where the decision,
if you do it,
that's where the decision to grow this hair was. I turned up at Rock City at 18 years old, tried to headbang. No. Looked like an idiot. 12 months later, I got past the auntie stage.
Well, perfect, man. So just on a general one, I mean, you mentioned you obviously got Camden Rocks coming up and stuff like that. Just give people who may be listening, and I don't know whether people listen to you around there. What's your plans for summer? I mean, you've got the Camden Rocks. Any other sort of gigs lined up? Anything particularly you want to highlight?
We've got a few things in the pipeline, but we're going to do a few sort of a fairly big release. Sort of, this is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to release songs and do. Like we were talking about recording earlier, that kind of thing. So we've got a lot of things in the pipeline, but we don't want to sort of give too many sneaky peeks at this point.
That's I tell you what, dude.
Sorry about that.
No, I'm sounding like a professional band there, man. That sounded like that was.
No, I'm just kidding.
But oh, that's cool, man. So basically, like I say, people best place to keep. Well, man, you're to be fair. At least you're out on Twitter and Facebook. I mean, the amount of bands I talk to, and they're not even got the social media one down. So at least you seem to be a bit ahead of that. Now, this is just generally with a track which which is take me. Now, the reason I mentioned this, and this is I mentioned before we went live, I wanted some reflections on this. It reminded me, and I'm going to speak on a musical one, but it reminded me of old, and I'm talking Killers or even Maiden. It very old, kind of like I said, the Killers album of Maiden. The gallop you go to is like, oh, this is awesome stuff. I haven't heard stuff like this. So again, is that a tune that's been knocking around for a while? Is it a tune that was written? I mean, and again, sort of tell us about the track and that, who.
I wrote that probably before I joined Dolorosa. I wrote it as an acoustically to start off with, and again I gave it to the boys and went, "Fix it," and they fixed it. It's a very gallopy thing, yes.
I think musically we've got several tracks that do quite a gallop, and those are the tracks that we've actually messed around the least with. That's probably, I think that's the internal sound in Hayley's head, is that jumpy gallop.
I've just got unicorns galloping in the candy floss fields in my brain, and that comes out to my music.
So is that one that you'll play live, or is that one I don't know. I haven't seen you live.
It's not currently on our set list since we switched the boys over, Denny and Liam. Because we've written so much more music, more material, and we sort of revitalised the older stuff. We don't really tend to do Take Me live, but we will look at it and redo it. It's just because the boys have switched roles, they have to kind of relearn it and tweak it slightly.
And when you're writing new stuff as well, it's that toss up. Do you go backwards, or do you kind of go, what we're writing now is in a slightly different direction?
Yeah.
Let's see where that goes first. I have no doubt we will pick it back up because I love playing it.
Yeah.
I won't let them get away with not playing it. So.
Yeah.
Certainly, sets nowadays tend to be half an hour. Even if you're on later, instead of getting that hour that you used to get as a later set, doesn't seem to happen as much. So you have to be a little bit more brutal with what you're picking.
Yeah, exactly. You have to pick the ones that are going to stand out the most and what we're best at playing.
Yeah, and I think it comes down to something that we've been talking about. The attention span of crowds seems to be less than it was. I'm being a bit honest. I don't know if that, because we've done a few of the warm up shows for Camden Rocks as well, which has been awesome. But what you tend to find is you get 4 or 5 bands, whereas traditionally you'd have had 3, and everyone's getting less time. But you get a lot more variety that way, and I think it keeps people interested.
Yeah.
A bit more. So I think I'm not upset that it's sort of dropped down to the sort of half an hour. I think if you nail half an hour set, that can be a lot better for you than kind of washing through an hour, hoping that you haven't got too much filler.
Yeah, exactly.
No, you're right, because it's one of the things. Again, this being from the audience perspective, I get so frustrated when you go to gigs now and everybody's just getting their phones out. And you're like, everyone wants to sort of record an experience so they can go home and watch it. It's like, you're in the experience. What are you doing? Put your phones away for half an hour. I think if I was playing now, I would be that kind of arsey guy. I'd be like, no, I'm not playing live until you all get your phones out. Put them away. This is your moment. I think I'm just too much. You're right. I don't know. I just find it, like you say, you're out there on a stage pouring your heart and soul out in front of for that half an hour, and people just seem to be like, well, I'll watch this when I'm later on YouTube, and it's like, I don't know. Again, that's why I asked you what the reflection was, because I don't know. I mean, surely it must come into you. Like, I'm up here bleeding my heart and soul. I mean, the very essence of your band. I'm literally up here on the cross, and you're just there. More bothered about your phone. I mean, that's why I was asking you, because it's out of a reflection that, I don't know, does that in any way at all come across to you, and you kind of, or do you just think, hey, well, people are here, because I say this because you just mentioned it.
I don't mind it so much when people are taking pictures or filming or whatever, because you know it's free advertising for us. It's true. Like, but you know, I'd take a couple of pictures of my friends' bands or take a video because I'm helping to promote them.
Yeah.
And it's not for, you know, it's not for my own kind of personal pleasure. It's more for advertising, helping them, push them forward. And I hope that that our fans or friends that come to see us that do the same, well, you know, they do it for the same reasons. But I don't think it takes away the kind of experience, because like I don't sit. It's annoying when you've got a massive tablet in front of you recording the whole fucking thing. That I don't know. You know, it's ridiculous. There's cameramen there. You don't need to do it. But you know, I'll only do a few snips, and then maybe the last song I'll record it, kind of thing. So that I don't mind. If someone's like texting during my set or playing on the phone, they'll know I'm pissed off. we played a gig at another gig at the Northampton called The Bear, and this guy, bless his heart, he was like on his phone, and I was just starting my set, and I just walked up to him, grabbed his phone, and started singing in his face. And he was like, ugh! I gave his phone back. I was like, cheers. But that made him like, he was like the biggest mosher there, wasn't he? He was like really going for it, because like I was a bitch to him.
I choose it as a challenge, if I'm honest. If I see someone, you know, I don't have a massive view from the back. I can see Cymbals, and I can see Hayley, and I can just about see Liam and Denny normally. I generally can't see the crowd, but if I see anyone sort of in the corners, I you know, and then the text in, or well, I've done that. Thankfully, I didn't hit them. No one got hurt. It's all good. But I tend to sort of try and up my game. So it's like, okay, you're not really paying attention. What can I do? How can I, like, you know, lift this? Like, how do we engage with you?
Yeah.
So I treat it as a bit of a challenge rather than getting up. You know, I don't get upset about it. I'm just like, well, if it's not your jam, fair enough. But I'm going to try my best to make it as cool as it can be.
Yeah. Okay.
If in doubt, Hayley will jump on top.
Exactly.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, I'm just trying to warn them, mate. Basically, listen up, or you're going to get jumped on.
Yeah, I'm not scared. I use a wireless mic. I'm free. Yeah, but no, we're on that point. Like luckily, the people that watched us before, they always seem to have a really good time and have a really good jam, and everyone's dancing, and well, you can mainly see happy faces. Yeah. But there's always going to be one person in the corner that you're like, why are you smiling? Why are you enjoying yourself? Yeah. So you do tend to sort of. Well, I know I do. Yeah. I sort of push my energy towards that one negative person, because everyone else is having a good time, but that one person, what's going on? Why don't you love me? So I kind of like really push up my game for them.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I mean, like I say, well, I remember back in the day I was in a band, and again the Duchess in Leeds, and we played this gig, and like you say, 99% of the people there loved it, and there was just one guy who sat there all the way through it. And then the minute we came off, I went up to him and I said, you know, I said to him, what's your thing? He goes, you're the worst band I've ever seen in this pub in 25 years. And we took that as an honour. It was like, yes. It was like you said, I thought you walked away from it and thought, do you really just go to this pub every night just to sit there? And you're like, at what point do you just think, like you say, it's an enjoyment thing? And I often think at some point, I think, some people just like, why? It's fascinating to me. Why do you just sit there, like you said, Hayley, and just not enjoy it? Because you paid your money for this. Why are you here?
Exactly.
You're an idiot.
We had a drunken conversation about that. Almost the same thing yesterday. We were having a chat about, like, you know, whether you want the reviews that you get. And I think the worst review you can have is like 5 out of 10, because it kind of, does that matter to anyone? Like, if it's 1, it's kind of, well, I've offended someone. That's cool. If it's 10, we're epic, whatever. If it's 5, it's just like, oh, just kind of mellow, whatever. I've forgotten you already.
Exactly. I think the best review was when it wasn't a review, it was like, we got a lot of complaints playing the Hot Fuzz Fest because we're too thrash metal, because we played too many instruments. Oh my goodness. So I was like, yes, we've pissed off a community. We're going somewhere. I loved it.
Swan was not happy.
It was funny because we had actually got quite a decent crowd in front of us for that one, so it wasn't everyone that was upset, but there were genuinely really happy people, and then a lot of pissed off people.
Yeah, and they're saying we're not family friendly, but a lot of most of our fans were little kids. They were like dancing away to take me in binge and things like that. They didn't clue what it was on about. It's fine. Took out the swear words and stuff like that. But they loved it. They had a great old time. Bless them.
So just generally, I mean, like, again, I'll, sort of before we do wrap this up, I just, on a general one, I mean, it's been kind of a theme of this conversation. You talked about how you create music and stuff like this. Now, how it's a difficult question, really, but how do you, when you're rehearsing, I mean, are you completely open-minded? I mean, are you allowed to go in any direction you like? So, for instance, if you, Hayley, came along and said, "Oh, I've got this really one particular track, and it's really not what we do in our band," I mean, are you really open to that? Or, for instance, if like Chris comes along and goes, "Hey, I've got this proper heavy riff," and I mean, how you talking earlier about you have a very much a creative flow of things, but how far are you allowed to have your boundaries? I mean, could we sort of see, you doing a very sort of a very slow song, and then I mean, or is it kind of you're kind of sort of, you know what I mean?
Right next to each other on the set list, there's a really beautiful ballad called "Breathe You In," followed by something that sounds like that's come out of Disturbed's "Nightmare." The heaviest thing that we've got straight after it. That's where they're supposed to be.
Yeah. But I don't think we can really pigeonhole us as to one specific genre. I think because of our kind of eclectic taste in music, we have quite a different. I think we've got quite a different sound. That's not being egotistical or go, we're amazing. But no, because I don't think we can pigeonhole just to metal or punk or rock. It's kind of a merge of different things. So in that sense, we can be a bit more creative with our sounds and introduce other things. And I've been thinking of, collabing with some other artists. Maybe there's a really cool guy called Digits. He's a rapper. Hi, Digits. And we've been talking, and maybe he'll collab with us. And Millie Manders, hi Millie, she's a ska punk artist, and we're talking about collabing with her. So there's definitely, different avenues that we're looking at.
I think nothing's off the table. What we tend to do is, I think we all really like grooves. So when you find the right groove for the song, it doesn't really matter where it's taking you. It just feels right, and everyone's like, that kicks ass. It doesn't matter if it's exactly like something else. Hopefully it's different, because we want to have like a variety of songs in the set.
Yeah, we want to be eclectic, but at the same time, kind of stay true to our VD.
Yeah.
And keep that kind of same sound without going too, because it will sound stupid if we're like have our particular sound, then suddenly we do like a hip hop track. It sounds completely, it's not us. So I think it's nice to sort of do collaborations and have other influences, but keep the same, I don't know, foundation the same,
Yeah, this is the, and I think it's fascinating you spoke upon this. I think it's maybe a start of another conversation completely in another time and place, but that is exactly the line that we all creatives walk down. That's exactly what you just said then about music, about, it's exactly what us artists do. We don't want to go too far out. We don't want to go too far in. And it's that whole life of just walking that balance between the chaos and the order. And that is to me the heart of being a creative person, because I think it's fascinating you just spoke upon that.
Yeah, I mean, you look like Korn, for example, big fan of Korn. But when you look at like Follow the Leader and all their older albums, and then they went to like the dubstep age and introduced Skrillex, they kind of, even though they sound really drastically changed, they still had that kind of
there was the essence. I was going to say, essence of Korn was still there.
And it worked so well. Then you look at like Linkin Park, for example. You look at their older stuff, and their album, which was awesome. What's going on with your computer?
I have no idea.
Sorry. You look at their older stuff, and you look at their most recent album. It sounds nothing like Linkin Park. They've kind of lost their.
Yeah, they've lost a lot of their energy, I think.
Yeah,
but,
no offense.
Sorry, we love you guys.
But, go back to your old stuff, man. What's going on? But they obviously just hit a demographic and go, well, this is where it's at. Let's change our sound. And it's kind of, they don't sound like, you listen to their new album, it sounds nothing like Linkin Park.
Yeah.
Who's this?
Yeah.
Chester, sort it out, mate. Love you.
Exactly, and that's what I'm talking about, because it's the, I mean, like you say, you can have I mean, Anthrax and Run DMC, that's a perfect example. So there's nothing about, different genres, but on that very one, Metallica doing the live, orchestra album. You're like, what are you doing? And like you said, that's the balance, that's the line we walk, which is, like I say, that's another sort of conversation. Well, look, like you said, you've got Camden Rocks next week. People can follow you. So while I'm queuing up, Take Me, maybe sort of give a few places where people can find you, contact you, reach out to you. And, well, I want to say just generally while I'm tracking this up, look, thank you very much for your time. I know it's been, it's a Sunday morning, you've got kids and, life, and just doing the general rock and roll band. And like I said, the door, I would love, because I think there's so many little areas we've spoken about tonight that I really want to kind of really take off and have a good discussion with you. But that's for another time and a place. So I just generally want to thank you for your time. It's been a really kind of insightful conversation. I'm going to queue up Take Me. While I'm doing that, please just give people where they can reach out to you, where they can find you, and just generally, anything you may want to sort of shout out and plug up while I'm queuing it up. But
so yeah, you can find us on Twitter under Via Dollies. You can find us on Facebook as well, Via Dolorosa. And we are also we've got a website as well called www.viadolorosa.co.uk.
That's it. That was seamless plugging there.
And YouTube.
Yeah, we're on YouTube as well.
We videos everywhere, bitch.
Yeah, we are catchy. We are catchy. And thank you very much for giving us some airtime. I don't know.
You love us, but I'm not like those others. Can't you? I know enemy. Can't you see? What's me that you see? I'm not gonna be sure. Fling the hot and cold from my belly now when it kills me. Right now, so far long to love you, leave me up a chill. Feel the way I do, I feel my body. Touch me, can't you feel my electricity? Take me as I am, take me as I am. I'm one or another, so treat me like no other. So just take me as I am, take me as I am. I'm sick of all your lovers, but I'm not like those others. Can't you see I are the enemy? Can't you see you're gonna break me? I cannot forget you on the heart. Just allow me to remind me of the memories that constantly all my dreams of you can't take the hold and just let me go. You leave me out, you never stop. You will think that I'm blind. Can you take me as I am, take me as I am. I'm one or another, so treat me like no other. So just take me as I am, take me as I am. I'm sick of all you lovers, but I'm not like those others. Can't you see I are no enemy? Can't you see you're gonna break me? Take me as I am, take me as I am. I'm one or another, so treat me like no other. So just take me as I am, take me as I am.